Hi students. I want to do the writer's workshop now for the social media papers. So um, here we are, and I am going to look over the prompt, give you kind of an overview of that. So um, you can look at it, of course, in Canvas, but it says in this essay you are going to argue for the benefits um, of social media, or argue that social media has more drawbacks than benefits. You could also employ a moderate approach in which you argue that social media is largely positive but does have some negative impact. Or that social media is largely problematic but does have some benefits. If you are taking a model review, as I mentioned in the overview, you want to have a particular idea about it. Like I mentioned in the overview, the idea could be that your experience with social media depends on how you use it. If you do that, I would balance it one way. If you are, or the other, if you are leaning positive, then you would likely have two body paragraphs that are positive and one that's negative, and you would just need to make sure they're cohesive and they flow together with like a contrast topic. A contrast transition, like however, although, that sort of thing, that you're still supporting your overall thesis. If it is you're leaning negative, like you think overall it's rather problematic, but it does have some benefits, then you would probably have two body paragraphs that are negative and one that's positive. Just flip it. If you are right in the middle, then you may even really need an it just needs to match. So if you just have three body paragraphs, it's fine. You're just going to need to show how you support that moderate view. You could even add an extra body paragraph so that you have an equal positive and negative, but you don't. But again, you're not writing a report, so if you don't have a clear thesis, that's going to all fall apart into being a report. So it might be, for example, if you said social media has both challenges and benefits, but the user's experience is largely dependent on setting boundaries. That's another one. Then the first body paragraph would be some aspect of setting boundaries. The second one would be some aspect of setting boundaries with some other, part of this, that sort of thing, if that makes sense. So, all right. So then it says, for example, does social media provide more connection to people? Or does it contribute to an increasing sense of isolation? So again, you could be arguing that people are connected and have a sense of community that they might not otherwise, or that they're actually, because of some of the drawbacks, they're actually feeling more isolated than if they didn't log on to those. Are people more informed of world events due to social media, or has social media become a tool for promoting inaccurate information? Does social media promote an engaging exchange of ideas? Or does it contribute to an increasing polarization of people, an intense us versus them experience? Is social media a fun way to share special moments with others, or does that sharing leave some people feeling increasingly discouraged about not being able to measure up to the seemingly perfect lives of others? Is social media a fun hobby or a problematic addiction? You do not need to tackle every single one of these issues in your paper. These are just ideas to get you started. You could focus on some of these. Instead, use these ideas to get started on thinking about the positives and negatives of social media and to discover your own focused idea about, I'm sorry, I'm missing about there, about this digital phenomenon. All right, so essay structure. We went over this in the overview, so I'm not going to read over this right now, but just know that you've got to have that essay structure. It's imperative, and you should use correct sentence structure and grammar. You need MLA formatting you need MLA formatting for your name and class information. And you need MLA formatting that it should be, every paragraph needs to be indented 5 spaces, and you need double spacing between lines, not between paragraphs, but between lines. All right, and that if you are doing the extra credit or some part of the extra credit and you are using sources, you do need to cite those correctly MLA style. So don't forget about your parenthetical citations and your works cited. Um, so I said in the overview that I wasn't going to give the articles this time, but I do have a few articles I will just mention. But again, the databases are a great bet, but I will just mention a couple that you can then look up. I am not sure whether I'm going to be able to send out the links to these or not. So I'm just going to tell you about them, and you can use your skills to look at them up. All right. This one is called, this is from the publication called The Guardian. I've also found a lot of articles on this issue in The Guardian, a variety of different points of view, and really good opinion pieces that that have good quotes and evidence based and things like that. So this one says, "The Guardian view on children in social media: a safeguarding failure by the state." That's really an interesting take on it. So I'm going to just hold that up there if you would like to check that out. So again, that I don't want this to be the same paper as the last one, but if you would like to take a particular focus of social media and youth, you could do that. All right, so another one is, this one says, "Social media should be a complement to real life, not a substitute." This is from the Washington Post. So that's interesting, by Arthur C. Brooks. So this could be very interesting, and that seems like when I look through this, that even could support like a moderate view, or depending on how you use it, negative, just depending, right? All right, so you might want to check that out. This is so intriguing to me. This takes a whole different take on it, which I think is very timely. And this one is called, let's see, this one is, let me just make sure where, I can't remember where it's from. Where did I get this one? Oh my, why did I think I cut off the publication. Well, let me see. I'll figure it out. This one is titled, "How Social Media is Ensuring Curves Are Here to Stay in Fashion," by Suzanne Winfield. And, oh, here it is, Newsweek. This was Newsweek magazine. So this is really intriguing. That is a really interesting focus, and you could use that focus through your whole essay of taking this fashion focus. So that would be very intriguing, and that could support that idea. Here's another one. This would support a positive view, right? This is also from The Guardian, and it says, "Don't demonize social media. It can be a blessing for teens with problems." And it's by Micah Fraser Carroll. All right, so that is very intriguing, and I have had students write about also using personal experience that folks can get a lot of support for a variety of different issues. Find a community of like-minded folks if they're feeling kind of isolated. We're all feeling isolated right now. So anyway, this might be helpful. All right, let's see. That is what I've got right now. I also recall reading, you could check this out, I can't remember the exact title, but it was around a year ago. I read an article in Essence magazine that was talking about, this was so interesting. Again, this was like an intriguing topic to me, of how social media was helping developing countries, where they're able to promote small businesses because of social media, whereas in the past, they may not have the platform really, or the wherewithal to be able to promote their small business. But now, because of social media and that being free, they could promote their business worldwide. And so this was really helping individuals in developing countries, and also helping the overall economy in that area to really change dramatically for the better, and helping whole villages. So this was a really fascinating article. It was approximately a year ago. I'm at 2019, not before 2018, I don't think. So if you do a search for Essence Magazine, social media, small businesses in developing countries, And honestly, if you ask a librarian about that, they may be able to find it because that was a very intriguing focus. All right, so that just is like a little heads up to get you started. And again, check the databases. And this is all, you don't have to do any of that. You could write this from personal experience, and that's fine. I just want to give you that opportunity and for the extra credit. All right, so let's do a brainstorm together for some of the pluses and minuses of social media. I suggest you do that even if you're like, for sure, oh, I really want to write about this aspect. I mean, that's fine. I mean, if you can. But sometimes there are other aspects to it that we're not thinking of, and then just kind of getting it down and writing can really make a difference. So or sometimes when we're stuck, it can definitely make a difference, right? So let's do pros and cons of social media. So as I'm doing this, I'm just going to put whatever I can think of. But for you, I wish we were together and I would just ask you and you guys would give me your great ideas. But so just as you're going through this, make your own and you'll have, even more fabulous ideas that you could jot down. But so let's go through some pros. It could be connection is one thing that comes to mind for me, that you can connect with others. And this is just a brainstorm, so we're going to put down anything and everything. You could make new friends, right? That, especially friends maybe around the world that you might not have the chance to have, really come in contact with before. So friends makes me think of another thing that, another aspect I've had students write about before, that of course there's also the opportunity perhaps to meet that special someone. so romance. There's also promoting small businesses, as I mentioned just a little bit ago. So certainly that was a neat aspect about small businesses in developing countries, but even in our own country, small businesses can get a real boost. So that would be a neat idea. Also, connections for career or jobs, and maybe education. Maybe there's opportunities. Maybe you would find out about, I don't know, maybe there's a way to find out about scholarships or just different colleges that you didn't know about or something. And let's see, maybe that you can gain support. So maybe you could meet folks that have, shared interest. Well, that's kind of different. Shared support for an issue. So whatever issue someone might be going through, they could find other folks that have been through that or going through that too, that they can support each other. But also shared interest. Like if you have an interest in pet rescue, maybe you are going to be able to connect with other people that have an interest in pet rescue, and that can, help the cause or help you to feel, if everyone else in your family isn't into pet rescue, you can kind of connect with like-minded people that are. But that leads me to another thing is causes, right? So the causes can be strengthened and gain a platform and have people get awareness about a particular cause through social media. And let's see, there's probably some obvious ones that I'm missing. Connection, new friends from a small business, career, education, opportunity, support, issue, interest, causes. There's probably something else, but at any rate, self-expression. Yeah, self-expression. So people can express themselves and in unique ways, creatively, or just kind of help their identity and things like that. So I'll put self-esteem down on this side because I think sometimes people gaining support or something like that could actually help with that issue. Oh, resources. Someone might be able to connect with resources that they otherwise were not aware of. News, I've heard folks say that they get updated on the news in this way, and it's an easy way to connect and find out about that. Also, maybe even if it wasn't like national or even local news, but maybe, like there's that one called Nextdoor. Maybe it's the news of your neighborhood. So I'll put that, neighborhood news. Which could, and that could be the case for, Facebook or Instagram or, all that maybe, you find out that, your neighbor just got a new job or something like that, that you're excited about them and getting this job that we're all more isolated now, so that might be particularly nice. So all right, neighborhood news. Oh, keeping in touch. That was the one I was thinking of that I forgot about. Okay, so keeping in touch with folks that live far away, family members, friends. It can be a little easier when it's all one kind of address book, so to speak, and it's a little easier with the click of fingers and such than back in the days. We used to write letters, and of course that was lovely, and you could keep them forever. But it did take a while to get back and forth, and it took a long time to, more time to write them out and all that. And phone calls we actually had long distance phone calls. They were very expensive to call long distance. So this is, changed all of that. All right. So those are just some pros. There certainly are others. I'm going to go over some cons. All right. So I'm going to go over disconnection. So it's kind of the opposite, right? Sometimes people are not feeling connected. They're feeling totally disconnected because maybe, just the nature of social media, I think many experience can be a bit superficial at times. So they might have been really looking to share how in despair they are about a situation, and people are just scrolling through liking or something, and that's not what they meant, right? And that's not getting them the help that they need or the support that they need. So they might feel disconnected, right? So, and similarly, they might feel actually isolated because they're not getting the support despite their hundreds of friends. They're not getting the support that they need, through this medium. So comparison, right? Sometimes people can feel rather discouraged about the nature of this. We can be comparing our lives to other people, and we can feel like we're coming up short, and that can be rather discouraging. So that can affect self-esteem. I'm also going to put that there could be dangers, and dangers could be bullying, could be scammers, could be I don't know, criminals. I'm going to put criminals. That perhaps there could be actual, crime. I remember reading about, this was a few years back, but like it's someone that posted on social media that they were going on vacation, which seems sort of like a normal thing to post. But somehow, I don't really recall all the details. This was a few years ago, but that whether it was one of their friends that they didn't really know or a friend of a friend, anyway, their house got robbed because they had put on about that they were going on vacation, they weren't going to be home, and somehow the people were able to rob their house. So maybe it could leave one open to like it being a crime victim. So let's see. So we've got disconnection, isolation, comparison, self-esteem. There could be dangers such as bullying, scammers, criminals. Let's see. Oh, how about the news? The news has a flip side, right? That it may be inaccurate news that we're reading, right? So if we have only seen it on social media, but we haven't verified it with other reputable news sources, it could be that is not accurate. And so we are basing decisions on something that is inaccurate. And there were a lot of issues with that just a few years ago. And I think some of the I think all of the social mediums have tried to, correct that and deal with that issue to some regard. All right, so let's see. Let's see. So I'm going to put the jobs problem. The flip side of the jobs can be problematic. There have been instances where people have posted things on social media and it got out to their employer and they were fired because whatever they were posting went against company policy, or what they were doing was perceived to be immoral in some way. And that was a problem, right? And so or it could cause you to not get accepted by, whether it's a school or accepted into a job or, something like that. So there could be problems with jobs and education where users are being judged by what they are posting on there, right? I'm going to say communication problems. that sometimes issues with communication can be even more so in social media. So misunderstandings can be really big, perhaps. So what might be just a simple misunderstanding between two people now gets magnified, involves more people, really gets a lot of hurt feelings, and is sort of a big mess, right? So communication problems actually can be, rather problematic. So let's see. Oh, let's put addiction. So that was in the prompt where I've had a lot of students write about this one that where users can find themselves really addicted, honestly, where they're just they can't stay away from their phone, they can't stay away from that social media outlet for like a day, maybe not an hour, whatever. They're just really hooked in to seeing if they got that like, or did anybody like my picture or whatever it is, or did they respond to what I said, and that kind of thing. And or they're just like, or it can be like anything else. We're overwhelmed with what we really need to do. So then this will be easy to just look through here and scroll through here mindlessly, and all of a sudden hours have gone by or whatever, which is another issue, which could be a time wasting, which is not the same as addiction, because with addiction, it's more like you're really hooked in, but it can be, there are levels of anything. So it doesn't mean that if you're going to write about addiction, it doesn't mean that that's all you do all day is social media and you do nothing else, right? It could be that. It's in the human experience, but it doesn't have to be to that degree. You could feel addicted just because you can't stay one day away from it. I mean, so there are different degrees, but just time wasting, you're not necessarily addicted to it, but you find yourself just wasting a lot of time and not getting done what you need to get done, and you find that this is an issue. I mean, which could be anything, right? It could be like people waste time watching TV or whatever, but you're focused, of course, on the time wasting aspect of social media. All right. Okay, so that would be okay. Keeping in touch. I guess the flip side of that would be that it's easier to keep in touch, but it can be more superficial. When you're writing a letter to someone, you are writing a letter to that person, that individual, right? So if you're writing a letter to grandma, you're writing a letter to grandma, only grandma, not grandma, all the cousins, and all your other friends, and I know there have been times for myself. Where I was talking with a friend on a social media thing where I felt like I was kind of like part of the crowd, and I'm like, I thought we were best friends. It's just like I'm just part of the crowd. So, it can be more special, when we used to write letters, and you really can keep those letters forever. And this is just here today, gone tomorrow, So there's that, right? So while keeping in touch can be easier, we could say maybe it's not as special, maybe it's not as personal, and that sort of thing. All right, so that just gives you like that overview of the, some of the pros and cons of the issue. So here we go. We're going to look at, I'm gonna roll the dice again. I'm gonna do it that way because there's so many different viewpoints. So let's see. I'm gonna go, if I get a 1, I'm gonna be that it's gonna be positive to social media, that it's largely positive. 2, I'm gonna go that it's largely negative. 3, I'm gonna go in the middle, leaning positive. Hope you can see. Sorry, I'm turning my back to you. 4 is going to be middle, leaning negative. I think it's probably hard to read this, but I can see it, so we're okay. We're just keeping on track. And 5 is going to be straight down the middle. All right, so I'm going to roll my dice, technically a die, that if it's 1, it's going to be positive. 2, we're going with negative. 3, we'll go middle, but lean positive. 4, we're going middle, lean negative. 5, we're going straight down the middle. 6, I'm going to need to roll again. Okay, so here we go. What are we going to get? As I mentioned to you, you don't have to roll any dice unless you want to, right? This will just be your viewpoint. But, to keep it fun, this is what I'm doing. Here we go. And we have a 2. So we are going to do negative. All right, so that we are going to argue in the writer's workshop that it's negative, that this is problematic in some way. All right. So again, you want to review in the intro the criteria for your layers and what you need to cover with each of those layers, right? And next coming up, we will have a sample intro.